the public care to give a comment? Please state your name for the record.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to make public comment. It's a true gift. My name's Gabe Rivera. I just recently came out with an album called The Goddess versus the Drug War. It's available at TD's locally here. It's available at TD's, Tracks, Landlocked Music, and Howard's Bookstore, so please support local musicians at your local retailers. There's recently an article in The Siren, which is put out by the BEAD, the Bloomington Area Arts District. I'm on the front cover. Last month was Hoagie Carmichael, so, you know, good follow-up. Also, one of my songs was featured on WFHB. It's about how, it's called Mind Control. I won't go over it, but it was one of my greatest honors to have a song I wrote here played on WFHB. I'd like to thank my employer, IU. I'd like to thank everybody in Bloomington helping me become who I am. My employer, IU, my employer, Puccini's. I'd like to thank the Bicycle Garage. They pump and buy products there. I'd also like to thank all the establishments in town that have open mics that I've played at. Rachel's has an open mic on Sundays from 4 to 7. Max's is tonight from 8 and onwards. Jake's has one on Tuesdays. And Players Pub and Buffalo's, where Hoagie Carmichael wrote some music, have them on Thursdays. With my remaining time, I'm going to play the butterfly that's imprinted on the CD of my song showed up when the girl that I wrote this album for called me on my birthday. She called me rarely that year. It looks exactly the same as the one that floated into her hand that was dead but perfectly preserved as she was crying in the basement where her sister committed suicide. But this song is dedicated to her. It's The Pretenders. This is what we do at open mics. I hope everybody can come and build community through music. Found a picture of you. Oh, what hijacked my world that night? To a place we've both been cast out of. Oh, now we're back in the fight. Now we're back on the chain, yeah. On the chain gang, circumstance beyond our control. Oh, the phone, the TV, the news of the world. Got into the house like a pigeon from hell. Oh, threw sand in our eyes and descended like flies. Now we're back on the train, yeah. Oh, back on the train, gang. The powers that be, that force us to live as we do, bring me to my knees when I see what they've done to you. But I'll die as I stand here today, knowing deep in my heart they'll fall to their ruin one day for keeping us apart. Oh, found a picture of you. Oh, those were the happiest days of my life.
Mr. Rivera, I'm afraid your time is up.
Woo, the Pretenders.
Thank you. Does anybody else have public comment for us this evening? Okay, seeing none, we move on to appointments to boards and commissions.
I lost a good friend that I worked with at PSI. His son needs to come see me. Mr. Nort, Eddie, Dwayne, come on over. I need your help.
Okay, we're at the end of public comment now, and are there any appointments to boards and commissions to make this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to legislation for second reading. Would you like to? Yeah.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move that ordinance 1002 be introduced into the record.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that ordinance 1002 be introduced, and I request that the clerk read this ordinance by title and synopsis only. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Will the clerk please read?
Yes, this is ordinance 10-02, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Bloomington, Indiana, approving issuance and sale of special taxing district refunding bonds by the city for and on behalf of the Bloomington Park and Recreation District to provide a savings to the Park District. The synopsis is as follows. This ordinance approves the issuance and sale of refunding bonds by the city and on behalf of the Bloomington Park and Recreation District to effect a refunding of its 2001 Parks District bonds. The purpose is to provide a savings to the Park District through a reduction in interest payments on the bonds. And your committee recommendation on this item was to pass 701.
I believe we have Mr. Trexler here. We're new at this.
I move that ordinance, Madam Chair, I move that ordinance 1002 be adopted. Second.
All right, now we will hear from Mr. Trexler, City Controller.
Good evening, Mike Trexler, City Controller. Tonight we have two bond refundings that we're looking at. As we discussed a couple weeks ago during committee, these refundings are current debt issues that the city has, and due to the current environment and low interest rates, we're able to issue new bonds that then pay off the old bonds in addition to all the issuance costs of issuing the new bonds at such a lower rate that it lowers our payments significantly throughout the life of the bond, just like refinancing your home. So the first one that we're looking at in 1002 is for the Parks District. The bonds were used for the Miller Showers Park, for Lower Cascades Park, Bryan Park, Mills Pools, and other parks improvements. It's paid from revenue of the Parks District, which is property tax revenue. The call date we're looking at for this one is February 4th, if we can make that date. And the current maturity is January 15th of 2017. I'd like to note for both of these, we won't be extending the maturity date. We'll still be looking at the same payment schedules for both. We'll simply be looking at lower payments each time. The original issuance amount was $6.2 million, and the current outstanding principal is about $2.88 million. The total net present value savings we expect to see on this one, net present value is where we take the total stream of savings and deflate that into current year dollars. A savings in 20 years from now isn't going to be worth as much as savings today. So that's what we're looking at when we're looking at the net present value, is about $123,000. In real dollars, we'll be saving about $17,000 a year on average. It does fluctuate from year to year, but on average about $17,000. I'd be happy to answer any questions and welcome your support.
Thank you, Mr. Trexler. And I'd like to remind people who may be watching the meeting that we did have an opportunity to discuss this also at Committee of the Whole 2 weeks ago. So this is our second shot to ask any questions. There may not be any outstanding questions. Are there questions from council members? Yes, Councilmember Sturbaum.
Clarifying question. Short version, we're refinancing, we're saving real dollars.
That's right.
Thanks.
Any other questions from council members? Then we move on to any public comment on this item. Is there any comments on Ordinance 10-02? Seeing none.